Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. 9 more people who tested positive for COVID-19 have died in Saskatchewan. The province is reporting 277 new cases, 18 of those are in the Northwest. There are 5 new cases in the Northwest 2 subzone, which is the immediate Lloydminster area. We have 125 active cases. 172 people are in hospital, including 6 in the Northwest. 29 people are in intensive care, with 2 of those in our zone. 439 more people have recovered. Over the last several days, many MLAs in Alberta have handed in their resignation as a result of traveling outside the country over the holidays during the pandemic. Connor Chan has local reaction from MLA Garth Rosewell.
Joining us is MLA for Vermillion, Lloydminster, Wainwright, Garth Rosewell. Garth, I guess just what's your initial reaction to all these MLAs traveling during the COVID pandemic over Christmas?
Well, for me, I was disappointed. I thought it was pretty clear in the recommendations that you shouldn't travel, so I was it was disappointing, and I heard about it. Like, there was lots of people were abiding by the rules, and they just felt that and it was non-essential travel. So, the holiday type stuff is not necessarily essential. And I know of some MLAs that had trips planned and canceled them, once we set the rules in place on the 8th of December. So I was disappointed, and when I look at it, like, from a legal perspective, they just want to consider it legally. Like, they had a legal right to travel as long as they followed the protocols, just like anybody else. But from an ethical or moral perspective, we're asking people to follow the rules, and we weren't doing it. So that was, so I don't try to justify it. I don't try to defend it. It was wrong, and they paid a price for it.
With all the backlash that the UCP has been getting, mainly focusing on Jason Kenney and how he's handled this situation, how does that sit with you when you hear stuff like that?
Well, I would say, like, the initial response was more from a legal perspective, and that he didn't feel that he was clear enough. I don't think there's any doubt now what we should do. I think we're definitely clear enough. When that came out, and the minister made her talk, that's when the phone calls really started to fly, and the emails, and justifiably so. And but we took that information. I passed it on to leadership, like, through the weekend. I was phoning leadership with all the information that people were giving me and their concerns, and then he responded to it with what he did on Monday. So I guess we can criticize however it's done, but in the end, I've heard from a number of people now saying in the end we wound up with the right decision, and been nice to do it earlier, but from a legal perspective, they're fit within the legal perspective, but not. It was just surprising. Like, I had no doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to travel anywhere.
Now, what is the plan now moving forward for the UCP?
Well, I think it's, we carry on with running the government and making decisions. And, there was mistakes made, errors in judgment, and people paid a significant price for it. So there's nothing we can do about it now and what they did. We just got to make sure that we go forward on next week. We'll be deciding, because the restrictions that went on the 8th were scheduled to come off or be reviewed on the 11th, and we'll see what happens next week, and if we're going to maintain them or reduce them, or what we're going to do. And it's kind of driven by numbers, and the priorities implementation cabinet committee is the one that decides with input from everybody. And we've had caucus conference calls, and people were expressing their points of view. So I think leadership knows where everyone stands. They've got the message from MLAs all over the place who got information and feedback from everybody. So we responded, and now we got to carry on and operate government.
What's the latest front on the vaccine distribution, mainly Garth, in your constituency?
Well, my area, there's like we get the vaccinations, and it's like we're getting lots of calls that way too. People's, well, I want mine right now, and why am I not in the group, like the first group or the second group or whatever? Like, we're getting a lot of concern that way, but we only get so much inventory, and the federal government's controlling the inventory. When we get it, I think it gets distributed nicely. I think as far as Lloydminster is concerned, I did ask about that, and AHS was coordinating with SHS or SHA, and they were working with them to make sure that the Alberta side that there was a supply situation there. So I think they're talking to each other.
And lastly, Garth, is there anything you want to add on top of what we already discussed today?
Just so people know, like from the travel I've done, last summer, is the last time, well, not last summer, the summer of 2019, I was out of the country. The last time I went to a different province was January of 2020. And the last family function I went to was Thanksgiving. So that's, I just want people to know kind of where I've been and what I've been doing.
Well, Garth, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us today.
The city of Lloydminster is getting ready to start its winter programming, but this year will look a bit different. Eric Bay has more.
With gyms operating under restricted measures and group activities limited, recreation opportunities are few and far between in the border city. The city of Lloydminster is moving forward with its programs, but restrictions will be in place.
We've just limited the number and ensured that we were able to social distance, that we choose a room that the kids can and adults can social distance. We're all wearing masks now, so that's a little bit different, but it's been working out.
Programs will be held in multiple city venues, including the Service Sports Center. The city has seen a decrease in enrollment for younger age groups in certain camps, which is a surprise.
Some of our camps have been more popular. Some of the preschool camps people have had more time for, but some of them, like our little skaters program, this is the quietest we've seen it in a couple of years. So some of our adult programs some of the adults have more time, so they're registering themselves into programs, so that's nice to see.
Along with little skaters, there are still many options for residents to participate in city programming.
We have our Kids Night Out programs that are on Friday nights at the Service Sports Center. And we have some stained glass adult art classes that are going on. We've got, when the kids are out of school, we typically offer courses or classes and programs for kids to register in full day camps. So we have those coming up for the winter breaks.
Full information on the programs and registration is available on the city's website. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking right now, -1 is what our temperature's at right now. The wind chill does feel a little bit colder at that -6. We've got some cloud coverage coming in right now. But as we take a look here at some other areas right now, 0 degrees for Vermillion and Marwayne, as well as in Bonnyville. 2 degrees in Vegreville, 6 out in Edmonton. Lots of warm temperatures there out west there. -5 up in Cold Lake with -3 up in Lac La Biche there. As we take a look here at the Saskatchewan temperatures here, -2 as we see in St. Walburg, Maidstone, North Battleford, -3 up in Meadow Lake, and then -1 in Green Lake as well, with -3 also in Isle of Cross, and 4 degrees down in Macleod and 2 in Provost. Take a look here at the satellite radar map. Cloud coverage kind of will continue on here, but there's no real severe weather warning watch in our immediate area. There is some snow expected down in the Calgary area over the overnight tonight heading into tomorrow, but in terms of our immediate region, no snowfall expected anytime soon. Take a look at North Battleford overnight, -9 with some cloud coverage going into tomorrow, -4 with mostly clear skies and a few clouds in the forecast. Taking a look at Cold Lake, -9 as well for them, and clear skies expected for tomorrow as we look at the temperature there of 0 degrees throughout the day. And then as we look for us here at Lloydminster overnight tonight, cloud coverage continuing at -8. And as we get into tomorrow, clear skies expected there for the day tomorrow at -1. With that wind, it could feel a little bit colder at that -14 is what it could feel like with the wind chill. Taking a look here into Friday, we will have a little bit of more cloud coverage coming back there on Friday at -2 is the daytime high with that low of -9, as well as that same low of -9 -9 we could see on Saturday, but a little bit colder as our high goes now to -4 degrees, with the wind chill could feel a little bit more like -15. That is a first look at your weather forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Pandemic restrictions impacted the way the Lloydminster Salvation Army held their Christmas kettle campaign. Jace Mackey spoke with the organization to see how it went.
Today I'm joined with Major Bon Jennings from the Lloydminster Salvation Army. Thanks a lot for talking with me today.
You're quite welcome. Glad to be here.
So for the past few weeks, the Lloydminster Salvation Army has been out in full force collecting donations during the kettle campaign. How did things go this year?
Well, things went very well compared to what we thought they might be at the beginning when we, some of our locations, it was a head office thing that they weren't allowing any extra groups into their locations this year. So we basically, compared to other years, we had 2 locations, a third with limited time. And previous years we had 6 locations. So, and we did rather well with the income. We didn't reach our goal. We did about 80% of our 65,000. But we also have 2 of the locations that we were not there this year with a kettle stand. They did a thing at their till to top up or donate $2 to the food bank. So when those amounts come in, I think we will be very close to reaching our goal with regards to our kettle amount.
So you talked a little bit about it earlier, but what were some of the biggest challenges this year? Obviously, COVID didn't make things easy.
No, COVID added a different dimension to everything this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for us here in Lloydminster, but across the country and around the world, of course. Like I say, we ended up with just 2 locations, basically for the 25 days that we scheduled our kettles for. Another location we were able to do 9 days, but we also cut back on the length of time that we were at the locations from 10 hours to 6 hours. And that was because we wanted our workers as well as our volunteers to have limited contact with the public to keep everybody safe. But also we had numerous volunteers who weren't feeling secure or didn't feel comfortable with standing on our kettles this year. So it added a different dimension to our campaign this year.
And obviously, you guys got close to the goal that you guys had at the beginning of everything. What does it feel like to still, after all this adversity, still get support from the Lloydminster community?
We feel wonderful. We feel great about the support that we received from the community. And, we just want to give a big thank you to the community of Lloydminster, the individuals who supported us, the businesses, the organizations, in a time of need when the need was great. Again, the community stepped up, and I think the community hit a home run with their support for us. So we just want to. It's very much appreciated what the community did for us.
And how did the Christmas Hamper program go this year?
It went well. Again, we were, with the numbers and with COVID, we were thinking that we were going to probably go close to double what we did last year. We did something like between 450 Hampers last year. This year we were thinking that, with everything we could double that. So we prepared for those numbers. From the numbers that I've received so far, and our staff has been off since Christmas, but we helped out with 553 families. That amounted to close to 1,500 plus people. So we didn't reach those numbers, but we did have more than we had in previous years.
And just before we go today, is there anything that the Salvation Army is looking forward to as we go into the new year?
Well, we're going to be certainly opening up again, and we're going to be here for the individuals in our community that are in need. And we know that as we go into this year, that the support that we have received from the community, we will again receive, because it's a very generous community. And again, I can't say enough in saying thank you to the community for how they have supported us. We're certainly going to be here for the community, for individuals in need. And right now we have no great plan as to doing things differently. We have some ideas of how we can better assist people. But a lot of those things right now are still in the planning process. And hopefully within a few weeks and months, we'll have some more concrete ideas in place.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me today.
The 2020 World Junior Championship has wrapped up with the USA winning their 5th gold medal and 3rd on Canadian soil. Evan Kenny and Eric Bay have more, wrapping up the tournament.
Well, it is a tough day today if you are a Canadian hockey fan, as of course last night the World Junior Championship wrapped up with the USA beating Canada 2-0 and winning the gold medal. Canada not bad getting silver, but obviously not exactly what everybody wanted. Eric Bay is here to join me discussing this. Eric, I guess just first of all, what went wrong for Canada, or rather what went right for the USA?
Yeah, I think, again, we talked earlier in this tournament about adversity and how it would have been nice for Canada to maybe see some of that adversity earlier in the tournament. And I think that was maybe the biggest downfall, was the fact that they really weren't challenged here throughout this entire World Junior Championship until this gold medal game. And we saw after that first United States goal, they really had no bounce back for, I would say, the next 3 to 5 minutes at least. And it was the same thing again the second period when Trevor Zegras scored that early one there in the second to make it 2-0. They really didn't have any momentum, I don't think, until the last 5 minutes of the period. So really for Canada, it was just really too little too late. And then on the American side, I think they had a little more puck luck. Obviously that bounce on the Zegras goal off the net there is tough for anybody. But even later on too, hit a few posts, Bowen Byram coming in there too. So I think the States really did deserve to win, but also got the better bounces here throughout this gold medal game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eric, in the sense that Canada really didn't get their feet going until the later half of that game, and it really killed them. Another thing that I think killed them is just the lack that there were no fans in the stands. I mean, obviously, when you're playing the World Juniors in Canada as Team Canada, you're used to having those fans cheering you on and, you know, have your back throughout that whole game. But I think especially after that second goal by the U.S., the Zegras goal there, I think they just deflated, and that's where those fans really could have come into play. Another thing, the USA did a phenomenal job of keeping pucks to the outside. There weren't many opportunities right from that high slot or middle of the ice when it was in the U.S. zone. And the few times that Canada did get pucks into those good scoring areas, you know, you bring up the chance with Bowen Byram there where he hit the post. He was right in the middle of the net cutting there. So if Canada maybe could have gotten a couple more quality opportunities, things could have changed. However, both goalies did stand on their head. Obviously, only 2 goals given up in a finals is amazing. Just what did you think of the performances from Devon Levi of Canada and Spencer Knight for the USA?
Yeah, I mean, you really can't fault Devon Levi at all for this loss. He was really the all-star tournament MVP for Canada, I would say. And again, Spencer on the other side too did what he had to do. And as I mentioned about the puck luck, but there were still some big saves that Spencer Knight did have to make. You mentioned too, obviously keeping all those shots to the outside was huge. But there was still enough chances for Canada to really get back into this game, pot one, and then maybe, you know, make it pretty interesting there at the end. So I think both goalies really stood on their head, and this was really a goaltender showdown for sure.
And I mean, besides that first game for Team USA, where Spencer Knight played absolutely horrific against the Russians, he's been lights out throughout the rest of the tournament. Him and Devin Levi have each tied the tournament record for most shutouts at 3. I guess Spencer Knight just really came through when it did count in that gold medal game. Now, Eric, the tournament all-star teams as well as tournament awards were announced after that gold medal game there. Devin Levi was named the top goaltender as well as goaltender for the all-star team. Bowen Byram, Ville Helena were the 2 defensemen. And then on forwards, Trevor Zegras, Dylan Cousins, and Tim Stutzel were there. I mean, all 5 of those players had, or 6 rather, with the goaltender, had an unbelievable tournament. But is there maybe somebody you would switch in?
I don't think there's anybody I would necessarily switch in. I mean, you could make a case that a lot of other guys had some great tournaments. You look at JJ Peterka there in that German squad. He also played very well for a German team that obviously is pretty undermanned. But no, I think for the most part, the team's got it right. You might be able to convince me that Spencer Knight could be that goalie, but I think really both those guys just did so well. So I think just the stats alone there on the goals against average and save percentage side is what tips it for Devin Levi, and I'm okay with that for sure.
I agree. This was a super competitive tournament. Just looking through each team sort of had their stud or 2 that really helped push them on. Out of these 6, I can't say I have any complaints. If there were one more extra spot or one guy different, I might throw in Anton Lundell. He was the captain for Team Finland, obviously. Finland winning the bronze over Russia last night as well. He finished the tournament with 7 goals and 4 assists, the 12th overall pick in this past NHL draft for the Florida Panthers. I thought he played a great 200-foot game, and you know, if anybody were to be in there, it might be him, but no complaints here. Eric, although Canada did lose, it was a fun tournament to watch, and it should be exciting for Edmonton and Red Deer to host it next year as well.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Taking a look right now, we're now sitting at around that +1 range right now for us here in Lloydminster. It's kind of been fluctuating over the last little bit here. We did see a little bit colder temperatures throughout the day, but right now we're sitting at that +1. 4 degrees in Edmonton, 5 also in Edson and Whitecourt, 7 degrees in Rocky Mountain House, 2 degrees in Jasper, -1 there for Red Deer, -3 also, -3 is what we see there in Meadow Lake, excuse me, -2 North Battleford, 1 degree in Saskatoon, -6 in Prince Albert, and then we see -2 degrees out in Melfort. Taking a look at temperatures up in the northern Saskatchewan areas right now, a little bit warmer than what we saw last few days there. We're seeing -5s in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows along with La Ronge there, and then in all those further northern areas, -7 in Uranium City with -9 in Stony Rapids today, -10 for Walston Lake, and then we see -7 there in South End and -4 on that Manitoba-Saskatchewan border in Flin Flon. Take a look here at northern Alberta, -12 in High Level today, -3 in Fort Chipewayne, -5 in Fort McMurray, +5, in Peace River, and 3 degrees in Grand Prairie. Take a look at southern Alberta, continue to be very warm with 7 degrees there in Lethbridge, 5 degrees in Medicine Hat and Coronation as well, 2 degrees for Calgary, and then we see 0 degrees right now out in Banff. Taking a look now at southern Saskatchewan, also warmish compared to what we saw the last few days there, 1 degree in Swift Current right now, -1 in Kindersley and Regina, 3 degrees in Moose Jaw with -3 in Yorkton, and then -2 in Estevan. So we're seeing lots of minuses and positives in certain areas of those parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Taking a look here at Winnipeg as we look at our national temperatures, -3 with some cloud coverage going into Quebec City, -5 with that cloud coverage continuing over in Toronto at 1 degree, 0 in Halifax, and some fog right now in St. John's over at 3 degrees, 9 degrees in Vancouver with some cloud coverage, a little bit of flurries up in Yellowknife at -7, and then we see -3 degrees right now up in Whitehorse. Now, here's what we could see for tomorrow, around that same temperature as we kind of saw today, -1 in Lloydminster with -1s also in Vermillion, Marwayne, Bonnyville, and in Lac La Biche as well, -2 out in Edmonton and Vegreville as well, -3 for St. Paul, 0 up in Cold Lake and Pierceland as well. -1s we'll also see there in Maidstone and Macklin, -4 for St. Walburg and North Battleford for tomorrow as well, -1 in Meadow Lake with 0 in Green Lake and Pierceland, and then -1 as well we'll see there in Isle La Crosse. We'll see lots of -1s and 0s and -2s throughout the region here, but as we take a look here at the next 7 days, -2 here on Friday with some cloud coverage continuing on into Saturday, -4 on that Saturday with -4 also we'll see on Sunday, and then we're going to get a little bit warmer throughout the week here on Monday at 0 with some clearer skies, but then we're going to start to see some positive temperatures coming back again here. On Tuesday, we are expecting 2 degrees, and then on Wednesday, some cloud coverage with some sun at that daytime high of 5 degrees. But that is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Now we will be taking a look at your pet pad pictures. Thank you to everyone who submitted a picture to our Facebook page. And we will be giving away a pet pad gift card on Friday.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
I'm joined on Primetime Local News today by a familiar face here of late, Stephanie Dobson. Stephanie joins me for our first interview of 2021. Welcome, Stephanie, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you too.
Well, thank you so much. And we are talking about divorce, as we have been over the past few sessions. And today we are starting part 1 of a 3-part series on a specific topic, and that is talking about the process of going through a divorce. So what exactly does it mean when people talk about process?
So the first, really what I want to focus on is the out-of-court processes. Most people, when they first start out in a divorce, they know what divorce court means. It's sort of socialized in the media. But the out-of-court options that you have, first of all, the do-it-yourself option, also known as what you'd call the kitchen table option, where 2 spouses are separating and they're sitting down themselves to try to work out as much as they can. Often, though, people will need an extra support, whether it's a mediator or a lawyer, to help them through towards final resolution. So 2 other options are mediation, which is where separating spouses would hire one neutral professional to help them through resolving all of their post-separation issues, and collaborative divorce, which is where each spouse will hire a collaboratively trained divorce lawyer who will then help them through the separation process in an out-of-court style. So mediation and collaborative divorce, more specifically, will be going into those processes in the coming next 2 weeks.
Now, what would some of the benefits be, Stephanie, if you want to stay out of the courtroom? Is there some positives to not taking things through the court process?
Absolutely. And, you know, here I have 4 things that I really want to focus on. The first one is that of time. The process to get towards final resolution outside of the court process can typically be drastically reduced just by agreeing to stay out of court. I often suggest to families that somewhere between 2 to 6 months on average to get through a separation and divorce when you're staying out of court, when you're committed to that process. Secondly is that of privacy. So during the negotiation processes, when you stay out of court, those conversations and all of that documentation stays private between the 2 of you. Third, cost. It can be drastically less cost for people to get to final resolution without using the court process. And finally, keeping yourselves in the driver's seat as far as that final resolution. In court, of course, the judge is making that final decision, whereas out of court, you and your other spouse are making those decisions on your own.
What happens if you have a situation, though, Stephanie, where one spouse is happy to go through mediation, but the other wants to get a judge involved?
You know, the old saying rings true, it takes 2 to tango. So there's a right to litigate, there's a right to go through divorce court. If one of you wants to push that, then there's that right. But there's an opportunity to negotiate. And what I find with families is that for the most part, once they understand that it is possible to stay out of court and the benefits of staying out of court, most families will choose that route. People specifically come to me asking for the out of court process options that I offer. And the most important the thing to do is to be informed and educated about what those options might be. So for example, on my law firm website, henkadivorce.ca, as well as in my e-learning community called Up a Notch Learning, I focus specifically on making sure that whatever process people choose, whatever options they choose, that they go into that informed. And then the reluctance usually goes away.
And when you are working with clients, Stephanie, can you give us a little idea of what it's like when you work with them through the process, what they can expect?
Sure. So in my processes, I have focused my practice since 2008 on exclusively being out of court. And the goal I have for every family is to make sure that we're focused on resolution at all times. People come specifically seeking that when they retain our office. And so I encourage people to call our office or to go onto our website or on our e-learning community and really to try to get an understanding of what my approach is, which again, like I said, is all focused on being out of court.
All right, Stephanie, well, thank you so much for speaking with us today. And as we said, we will tackle the other subjects in part 2 and 3 of this interview. But if anybody does have questions and, you know, New Year, we're kind of into that time where maybe people are looking at budgets and, you know, just spent the holidays with family and are now really kind of thinking if they're going through the divorce and separation process and they need to start somewhere, what's the best way to reach you just to get more information or if they have questions?
Sure. People can always go onto our website, henkadivorce.ca, or call our office and talk to any of our team members who can direct them. Lots of times our team members will spend 20 minutes, half an hour on the phone with people, just giving them that information and making sure that they're making an informed choice as they're going forward.
All right, Stephanie, well, thank you so much again for talking with us, and we will chat with you next week.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Speaking with Tyler Murchie with SGI about the first traffic safety spotlight of the new year. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. So to start off 2021, we're talking about intersections and railway safety. Why is this important to talk about?
Well, one of the things that people might not realize is that a very, very significant proportion of all collisions happen at intersections, even though intersections make up a relatively small number of the kilometers that you would drive in a given day. But we wanted drivers, especially during the month of January when we're shining that traffic safety spotlight on this topic, to be introspective about intersections and think about the many different types of intersections that you might drive through in the course of a given, one trip. And you might see uncontrolled intersections, controlled intersections, stop signs, traffic lights, yield signs, roundabouts, and three and four-way stops. You'll go through a number of different intersections, and we want people to think about their driving behavior in them and make sure that they're doing the right things.
And are there a high number of accidents caused in intersections, would you say?
Yes, I would say that. In fact, our statistics indicate that approximately 46%, so that's nearly half of all collisions that take place happen in or around intersections. And you can see why, right? There's a lot of different things going on. There's vehicles coming across and intersecting. There's pedestrians maybe crossing as well. And so that's something that drivers need to be aware of, and why we talk so much about the importance of maintaining your focus on the road, not being distracted, because a high number of collisions that happen that are related to distracted driving also take place in or around intersections.
And what kind of safety points is SGI wanting to highlight for residents to know about concerning intersections and railways?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, a number of things that you can do to reduce your chances of being in a collision in an intersection. We always want drivers to give their full and undivided attention to the road, of course. We want them to be aware of any stop signs or traffic lights that they may be coming up on. We want them to also be aware of other road users, other vehicles, whether they're coming across, whether they're doing a left turn in front of them, or pedestrians as well. And of course, in the warmer months, you might see people on their bicycles and motorcycles as well thrown into the mix, which reduced visibility for those more vulnerable road users on bicycles, pedestrians, and people using motorcycles as well. We advise people not to pass other vehicles as you're in an intersection, or even really getting close to one, and don't always assume that other drivers are going to obey the rules of the road. We certainly, of course, hope that's going to be the case, but you need to expect the unexpected. So that's one of the reasons why we say, avoid any type of distractions, keep your focus on the road, and be aware of what other drivers not are supposed to do necessarily, but what you can see they intend to do. And speaking of intentions, another great thing to do whenever you're dealing with an intersection is signal your intentions. If you're going to be turning right or turning left, make sure that you signal your intentions. Don't wait till you're actually in the process of turning or changing lanes to flip that signal light. Do it beforehand so other drivers will know what you are intending to do, and you can react accordingly, and they can react accordingly, I should say.
And can you expand a bit on the sub-focus that SGI is wanting to talk about railway safety as well?
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that people should think of railway crossings as, they are, in fact, another type of intersection, but the consequences of a collision in railways are often very, very more significant. You see a relatively small number of collisions there on a yearly basis. Our numbers indicate, an average of 16 collisions in a given year between vehicles and trains. However, those small number of collisions have serious consequences. You see an average of 9 injuries and 2 fatalities from that relatively small number of collisions. So you want to think about that and give those trains the respect that they're due. The other thing to keep in mind is trains always have the right of way. You never want to race the train to get across. Those few moments that you'll save by beating the train are not worth the risk that you'll incur by trying to cross the track as a train is approaching. You'll want to be aware of any signals that are happening, but there are also in many rural parts of the province, especially, a lot of uncontrolled railway crossings. So it's very important for drivers to make sure that they are aware that of whether a train is coming by. Listening for the horn, of course, but also just keeping their eyes open, looking in both directions, and making sure that they're not going to be surprised by a train.
And is there anything else you want to add for residents to know about for starting off 2021 for SGI?
Well, definitely. Just in terms of this focus on when it comes to intersection infractions, and including railway crossings, disobeying any signals, traffic signals like stop signs, traffic lights, or railway crossing signals, those carry a fine of $230 plus another 3 demerits on your license. I think we're all dealing with, post-holiday credit card bills. Nobody wants to add another financial commitment on top of that. And I really think that, just staying alert, obeying the rules of the road, will really help people avoid getting into a collision in one of these situations.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me again today, Tyler.
Always great talking to you, Shelby.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. -1 heading into tomorrow, some clear skies expected. -2 on Friday as we look into Saturday. -4 with that cloud coverage continuing on. -4 here on Sunday, though. As we look into Monday, we're going to start to get gradually a little warmer day by day there. Monday at 0 degrees with some sun coming back out. And as we look into Tuesday, 2 degrees expected there, and then 5 degrees there on Wednesday. We usually average around -10 for our daytime high usually, and average -19 for our daytime low.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.